Earlier today, I spoke with Israel's ambassador to Canada, Iddo Moed. And joining me now is the ambassador. Thank you so much for being here today. I appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
I wanted to ask you first, now there is a United Nations-led deal to ensure that humanitarian aid does get into Gaza and these trucks that are carrying the aid going through the Rafah crossing. When do you think that aid might be delivered?
We hope as soon as possible. We hope also that aid and support will also get to the 2,200 people who've been taken hostage by Hamas that have not had any chance of getting any kind of external help or visit of any sort or shape or form. And of course, we call for their immediate release, and we also heard Canadian leadership talking about that. Israel is doing whatever it can to provide the international organizations a way to provide these supplies for the Palestinian population. It's a very complex question. We're trying to do that as soon as possible, but we have to remember, we are fighting a war. This is a war. It's a war situation that was forced on Israel by the Hamas terrorist organization, by the Palestinian Islamic Jihad, with external support of Iran. And so in this kind of a war, in this very complex situation, Israel is trying its best to protect its citizens, to get other not involved citizens out of harm's way, and also to provide any kind of assistance that is possible. But let me just explain a few things when it comes to these humanitarian corridors. All the crossings between the Gaza Strip and Israel have been blown up and completely destroyed by the Hamas. We have seen also that some of the aid was used by Hamas terrorists to cover for whatever munitions they were using. So we saw rice bags filled with munition. We also know that some of the terrorists, especially their leaders, are trying to escape the battle scene. So we want to make sure that we target and we get to those who are responsible for this heinous attack and for this threat that emanates from the Gaza Strip at Israel, while at the same time also providing all the humanitarian assistance that's necessary for the people of Gaza.
And I hear you on that. And I guess with that in mind, can you quantify how much aid will be let in? And are you at any point looking to try and restrict it to make sure that it doesn't end up going to people who are with Hamas?
It's not a question of restriction. It's a question of maximizing the aid supply to those who are in need. Israel also supplies fuel for the water pumps so that the population in the southern part of Gaza can get water supplies. We're trying to do a lot that is beyond just these crossings and these humanitarian corridors, and we have to remember that as well. We've also dropped leaflets over the population and provided them with shelters, specific areas that we know that are protected. There are shelters for them. So we go at the extra length to make sure that those who are not involved are out of harm's way.
I just want to know if it's going to be enough to help a lot of these citizens who have been caught in the crossfire here, and the ones that even you have said and your government has said that they don't want to target. Will it be enough aid for those people?
Let's think about the 24,000 gallons of fuel that Hamas just stole from the United Nations Relief Organization just the other day, or the medical supplies that they stole from their unmanned camp. I think that these are the things that we have to look at. Israel will do whatever is possible to make all the supplies come in a safe way. But that's a very big question when we're looking at the situation. We take it very seriously, we act very responsibly, but we also want to make sure that our hostages get the treatment that they need. We're talking about 6-month-old babies, we're talking about elderly people, we're talking about pregnant women, people who need medication and formulas and so on. And I don't see the international community very much bothered about that. Everybody's saying, okay, then I agree. The general population of the Gaza Strip requires the assistance and the help, and they get it, and we're trying to do whatever we can. But I think we also have to think about the hostages, releasing them quickly, getting them the help that they need.
And I think that is the international community's concern as well. But to the point of making sure that that aid goes to the right people, does that mean that the IDF will be part of the process now to try and inspect the deliveries and making sure that it does go to the right people?
We're trying to find a suitable arrangement that it will be satisfactory. I cannot tell you exactly who is going to be where, but we are working with the international community, with the international organizations, with the Egyptians to make sure that it happens properly.
Yesterday, United States President Joe Biden said and sent this message to Israel saying, I caution this, while you feel that rage, don't be consumed by it. After 9/11, we were enraged in the United States. When we sought justice and got justice, we also made mistakes. What do you take from that statement?
Well, it's a very complicated scene. And I assume that when you are, as a leader, Israeli leader, seeing pictures of 1,400 slaughtered men, women, and children, entire families, the mutilation, the burning of babies, all of that, that it is such an incredible psychological impact that you have to try and find a way to still balance your policy and address the most pertinent needs adequately. We are doing that. We are very responsible in the way that we act. And as you see, we weigh our moves very, very much and very seriously. We use precision bombing. We inform the population. We call the population in advance to tell them what is happening. We even have contact with some of them when we know that they are blocked to see if there is anything that can be done for them through international organizations. So I understand that there would be calls to keep our heads clear and our minds focused on the task at hand. And I can assure you that that is exactly what the leaders of Israel are doing right now.
How do you continue to do that as time goes on? Because there has been a number of people, including the former head of our military, was on this program yesterday, who said it could take 6 to 8 months in Gaza to do what the IDF's objective is, which is to fully end Hamas's military capabilities. One, do you agree that it'll take that time, that amount of time, but do you think that there is the resolve within Israel to make sure that they continue to be targeted in that time?
There is a resolve within Israeli population, entire population, religious, non-religious, Jews and non-Jews, that we have to eradicate the threat of Hamas entirely, quickly, and profoundly, to the level that it will not pose a threat to anyone anymore. Just to imagine that they killed Jews and non-Jews, Israelis and non-Israelis, there is total agreement that we have to do whatever it takes, and we'll do whatever it takes to eradicate this threat from the Israeli population.
Respectfully, is it even possible to completely cut off Hamas's total capabilities, given where the leadership is, and that there are some reports that it is scattered in that area, and that it is not all contained within Gaza right now?
When somebody threatens you with a knife, and you know he's coming for your life, and he's after you, do you think that there is any other way than just removing the threat entirely and completely? If he's after you, he's after you. So we'll know when we'll get there.
I understand that, but respectfully, there are reports that Hamas's leadership is not just in one place anymore, that it is scattered in the region. So does that make it more difficult to accomplish the goal?
We are committed and resolved to make sure that Hamas is taken out of the equation, that Hamas infrastructure, leadership, command, and regime in the Gaza Strip will not exist after we finish with this operation.
And does that mean that it goes beyond the Gaza Strip?
We'll make sure that whoever is responsible for these attacks will pay.
Okay. Ambassador, we're all out of time, but I appreciate you spending your time with us today. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you for having me.